and remind you that you should be in control of your emotions. Otherwise, your emotions will be in control of you. So thank you once again for tuning in today. We are talking about passion versus education, passion versus whatever you studied in school, passion versus what everyone else tells you to do, passion versus what you think that you should be doing and nobody agrees with it. That's what we are talking about today. Passion versus education. So, there was a time in my life that all I wanted to do was just be an intern. I actually wanted to just be an intern to a psychologist. I was living in Kentucky at the time, and there was this place that I used to just envy. All I wanted to do was just hold the briefcase to a psychologist and walk with him or her to their cases and write their statistics and their diagnosis and and bipolar and schizophrenia and all of that. Like, I was just so interested in that. And then, hey, today I am a singer, I am a businesswoman, I'm hosting this show. I am certainly not holding the briefcase to a psychiatrist. So this tells me that your passion has everything to do with your livelihood. Now, there are some people who are blessed enough to find their passion eventually when they do get older. And then we have people who just found it at a very, very early age, and they knew that this is exactly what they wanted to do. For me, I have been singing since I was 3 years old. So now that I am singing on bigger platforms, and now that this is what I do full time, recording albums and everything, I started doing that when I was younger. But when I went to the university, my bachelor's degree was in church ministries. Yes, I knew that I was going to do ministry in one way or the other, but the magnitude of all that I do is not just church ministries. I'm currently doing a master's now in thanatology, which is the art of death and dying. And I'm telling you, if I knew everything that I know now, I probably wouldn't have spent 8 years in school. So my guest today actually studied agriculture, and you will be surprised to hear what she is doing now, because it has absolutely nothing to do with crops. It has nothing to do with seeds or germination or anything of that nature. And so that's really what I want to encourage you today, is to be very, very honest with yourself, because all these people that you're building your life around, those people will die. Yes, if it's your parents, they will get older. They will definitely leave this earth before you do. And now you're stuck working a banking job or being a lawyer when you don't even like people. You don't even like to communicate. You don't even like being in a room of people. You don't like being judged. You don't like arguing. You don't like going back and forth. But everyone is telling you to be a lawyer. You don't like blood, but because there's so much money in medicine, so you decide to faint every single time that you see blood, and that's what you are enduring because you are waiting for some kind of big paycheck. And let me tell you something about the medical field. It's just like every other field. There are so many levels. But me being in the nursing field, I can tell you that you would never be content in just nursing or in medicine, because guess what? There is a general doctor, there is a surgeon, there is a nursing practitioner, there is a CNA, there is an HHA, there is an NP, there is a hospice nurse, there is a palliative nurse. My goodness, there are so many levels in medicine, just like there's so many levels in banking, and there's so many levels in all of these jobs that we are choosing. So why on earth are we going to decide to walk into a career that we still have to grow in levels and we don't even like it? That is an emotional investment, a financial investment, a spiritual investment. Your whole family is being strained over, and your finances is being strained or are being strained over a profession that you are not passionate about. It doesn't make any sense. And you know what? Yes, I do agree that our experiences kind of expose us to what we really, really want to do. Like me now doing a master's in death and dying. If my mother didn't die, I probably wouldn't have been thinking on that route. I knew that I wanted to do something with hospice, but I didn't know that I was going to take it up to another level of actually becoming a thanatologist. So yes, I do agree that there are some experiences that you would have and process in life that would take you and expose you to what your passion is. But there is something that you have been doing since you were a child. There is something that you just knew that this is what you want to be doing. But then you got older and then you started to think about money, or you started to consider your spouse, or you were considering your parents, or what people would say, what the society would say, and now you have tweaked your plans a little. So that's what this topic is about today, is do not tweak your plans. Don't tweak your plans. Don't change anything. Stick to your guns and make sure that those guns are loaded. Stick to your guns and do exactly what it is that you want to do. Becoming a lawyer, becoming a businesswoman, becoming a businessman. There are some people who, oh, so what do you want to become? Oh, I want to be a businessman. You know, people don't even see this as being a career. They associate being a businessman to hustling, or being a businesswoman to hustling. They don't actually see it as a career move. Okay, well, you know what? Wall Street is being a businessman. Being in stocks is being a businessman. It's the same thing as business. So my guest today is going to enlighten us on how we can really, really hone in on our passion. And you know what? I encourage you to do this when you are still younger, or when you haven't married, or when you don't have so much responsibilities, which would alter your plans. With more responsibilities comes a lot of alterations. You would have to tweak a whole lot. The more children you have, the marriage you have, the country in which you find yourself in, the state in which you find yourself in, they would all come together to help you make a decision that may not even be serving you. So now that you have an opportunity, serve yourself. That's what I would say. Stop serving other people. Stop making decisions based on what people will say, based on what your parents want you to study. If you want to be a fashion designer, start it now. Start it now. Find a school that teaches that. If you want to be a cinematographer, get your degree in cinematography. There's no, all this whole thing about, you can be doing medicine. And then as you're studying medicine, then when you have now finished, then you can now go into fashion designing. By that time, you are older. You are older. Your energy has probably depleted. You don't even have any money again because you used all of your money paying for tuition, paying school fees for what you didn't even want to study in the first place. Every single thing that you want to do is actually available in the university. There is training for anything, even for stocks. I was actually shocked because I have a friend of mine who went to stock school 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, there is such a school that teaches you stocks. I just thought that people sit down and they evaluate and they monitor stocks. I didn't know that there is an actual school that would teach you, with an actual degree, that would teach you how to monitor stocks and how to become so flipping rich. You wouldn't even believe it. So please be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Thank God that I have a guest who would help me drive this point home. Let's wait on our guest. We've been talking about passion versus education, versus whatever you studied in school. And there's none other to take us to another level with this topic than my guest, Joy Asian. They call her the Millionaire Woman. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
You're welcome.
It's so good to see you. I see all you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I see everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for taking out time from your very busy schedule. Making all of that money.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome.
It's been a while I've been here.
So, I introduced you as studying agriculture first, and then now you're obviously the Millionaire Woman, and it has nothing to do with crops.
Well, my school was an agricultural school, University of Agriculture, and then I studied biological sciences and education.
Okay. Okay, so that's where I got the mix up. So, what made you? I mean, all the way from biology sciences to doing business, selling watches. I mean, like you guys do a whole lot. Like you do everything. You make fragrances, and I mean, like these are international standard products. So how did you get into being this business person? I don't really want to focus much on the product because business is product, but how did you get to be successful?
I am not there yet.
Okay.
I'm on my way there. I'm not there yet, really. Becoming a businesswoman is a process that life took me through. I didn't even know I was going through a process. After school, or while in school, I always had things I sold. I can't think of a time I was never selling anything. We've sold houses, we've sold cars, and I started selling wrappers in school, belts, shoes, handbags. There was a time mommy couldn't afford much at the time. She could only give me money to pay my transport fare back to school. And then this church member came back from Dubai with so many things. So we went to her house. I got a bag full of wrappers, shoes, belts, handbags, and went back to school. Because I knew my survival depended on the sales from the proceeds from the sales. So I started selling those things. I sold books, and then during my service year, I started selling cosmetics, makeup, perfumes. There's never been a time. It was born out of a necessity. We needed money to do things. We needed money to push things, do one or two things. And the money wasn't really there, so we had to sell. That was how I started business. And then, even when I held down one or two jobs, I still had Ankara somewhere that I was selling. So it was a process life took me through, born out of necessity. And then I grew on it. I became quite good. Doing business actually helped me discover myself. I knew what I could do. I knew what I couldn't do. I discovered I could. I learned marketing on the streets. I had this habit. I would give myself this daily target. No matter what I do today, when I go out, by the time I'm coming back home, I should have made so and so amount of money. So I learned how to strike conversations with strangers at bus stops. I learned how to walk up to people, introduce myself, make polite conversation. And I may not sell to you immediately.
But that's your
Yes,
aim.
but that was my aim. So we would definitely see another time. So I learned marketing on the street. Most of the things I share online are not just what I read. I share from my experiences, what I have done, what I succeeded at, what I didn't succeed at. So, born out of necessity, I discovered myself in the process. I discovered I loved to talk. Recently, I've been having speaking engagements, which have been quite intimidating.
Yes, I saw one you did sometime last week or so.
And the thing is, people kept recommending me for these things. I never pushed for any one of them. I discovered I loved to talk to people. I discovered I could write really well. A lot of videos where I just have an idea, I think of something, I post it online. There was a particular video I posted one day, some 2-3 years ago. I made about 200,000 just from that video. Most of my writings I put out online. I'm able to recruit people into the different businesses that I do,
and
mostly from the comfort of my house. So these days I find myself talking more with startups and coming up with ideas, innovative ideas that could help their businesses grow. So that was how I found myself doing business. Awesome. And you said something that struck a chord in me. You said that your business started from a place of necessity. When I started my carrot oil business and my jewelry line, it was all from a place of necessity. I was hungry. Yeah. And so now, there's this thing we always tell people: it's either you're pursuing something or something is pursuing you.
Exactly.
That's what gives you all the drive and motivation. You're either hungry, or hunger is pursuing you, or something. There's always something pushing you from that angle of necessity.
Yeah. I like that. Now, now that you're obviously not hungry, it would take me to the mouths now that you're feeding, because now you have kids. So let's talk about how do you manage to do business? Because I know when you started your business when you just had your first child, and so right before you had your
I
first
took it
child,
to another level.
even when you were pregnant,
Yes.
with your second, you were doing business. So I meet a lot of people who say, I have children. Well, let the children grow up first. When they leave the house, so that I wouldn't go through empty nesters problem. Then I will now start business or whatever. But these people forget that they're going to be older.
Yeah.
Because your children will probably leave your house when you're like in 15 or 18 years. So that's plus.
Yeah.
That's plus 18 of what you already are.
That's not the time you want to start a business.
Not now, because like you're exhausted at that time. So you're exhausted at that time. So how do you manage to do all that you do as a businesswoman, and you have toddler, like you have a toddler, right?
7 and 5-year-old.
Okay, so you still have babies who solely depend on
They're still
you.
very dependent on me.
Exactly. So can you let our viewers know, like, your secrets?
I think the
success?
challenge of every mom is balance. Being able to strike that balance. Work, home, and then me. My me time is non-existent. There are so many times you come into the country, until you leave, we don't get to meet. There is no me time anywhere. So it's balance. It is not always easy, but somehow, when I notice a small 5, 10, 15 minute window, I use it to the best of my advantage. As I was coming out this morning, I had already started the car when I remembered I hadn't kept what the children would eat. So I had to go back inside, warm their food, package everything neatly, and keep where. And also, when I got here, I still sent a reminder I called my daughter and told her to remind Daddy, because Daddy may forget about your food, though, It's never really easy, but we just take things as they go.
You prioritize.
I don't have that luxury. I call it a luxury of wearing mommy hat now and then keeping it down later and putting on businesswoman hat. I just take it. I wear all the hats at the same time. There was a day we were preparing a PowerPoint presentation. On one hand, we were doing homework. On the other hand, and that is my life on a good day. So we don't manage it at all. We just go with the flow. And then mentoring our children, my husband and I, is top priority. I think they come first. So we try to carry them along too. One of the first business lessons my husband shared with my daughter, he said, meetings make money. You have to organize meetings, you have to be present at meetings to make the money. So somehow it sunk into her consciousness. She understands that we have to go out, and she also has to see us do these things.
Yes.
So she knows that money has to be earned. You don't just get money. Nobody will give it to you. You have to work for it.
You left the biology world, and that was out of necessity, and then you now fell in love with your sustenance.
Yeah.
Right?
There's one thing I want to say before we wrap it up about following your passion.
Okay.
If someone finds himself in a work environment or whatever vocation that he's not finding fulfillment in, and there's something else he would love to pursue, it's not always advisable for the person to just quit his job.
Oh, this is so true.
You don't just wake up one morning and quit your job. Businesses have different stages. Number one, that one you think is your passion may not even be your passion. It may not be the final destination. So there's always a period of self-discovery, and you can discover self from exposing yourself to different situations. Then there's self-development. You have to develop yourself. If you want to go into photography, you should develop yourself in that area. Read up enough books, network, connect with a lot of people who are doing well in that area before you now think of starting your own business.
Yes.
And then from the moment you decide you're going to start your business, there are phases that every business, over 80 to 90% of businesses new businesses die within the first 3 years.
Yes, because of so much ambition without knowledge.
A lot of things could happen. Every business has a high and a low. So not all of them are able to survive and come out of that low when a business drops. So there's a survival growth. Once you start a business, your sole focus at that point in time is survival. I want this business to survive. I don't want my business to die tomorrow. So after that, then there's growth. The growth period where the business starts to expand and all that. So this is a process. You don't quit your job at the age of 40 or 45 and start going through these highs and lows at that point in time. So you have to find a way to make your time work. So you're able to accommodate these different stages while you're still on your job.
Yes.
And then when you get to that time where, I want to leave this and start focus on this only, you will know.
You will know.
So
you will know.
That is, and education itself is not bad. Not everyone is going to be a business person, but we still need people working in offices, Education is not bad. When people talk of education, what comes to mind is academics. But one of the best places to study, to master emotional intelligence is in the school environment. You're dealing with lecturers, you're dealing with classmates, you're dealing with supervisors, you're dealing with friends in the hostel. Another good place to learn time management. These are disciplines that would help you in life, in business. So there are so many things. If one has the opportunity to have an education, if someone is educated, you have a degree, whatever, you have an advantage over someone who never even went to school.
Sure.
So we shouldn't demonize it. It gives us a platform.
Yes, it does. So thank you so much for coming. It does. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. See you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time. You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real. Lights, camera, action. Pictures are created in accordance with the creative vision of the photographer. The ability of a photographer to express perceptions and emotions in order to convey an impression connotes the art of photography. Most photographic works show aesthetic qualities. Some create an illusion, while some abstract photos may paint a deeper meaning from the ordinary. All this depicts the creativity of this artistry. In the early decades of the 19th century, photography captured more detail and information than the traditional methods of replication, like painting and sculpture. Today, photography still remains a unique art form that demands creative thinking from the photographer. We all love taking pictures, but there's a whole lot that goes into making our pictures look flawless. In this artistry, every detail counts.
I'd usually like to start with one light and then improve my lighting style up to the point when I get the kind of picture I want to shoot. So I'll start with this. This is always called the main light, and I'm going to start with the main light on camera right. Okay, fine. So the next thing I need to do now is to position her. I like you to sit down, look towards this light. You can put one foot up, one foot down, make yourself relax. Come to the edge of the stool. Good. Fine. Are you relaxed enough? All right, so just smile and let's see how this goes. Fantastic. So with every shot I take, I begin to readjust my camera till I achieve what I want to see. So right now, there's too much lighting coming on her face. So I'm going to have to work on my lighting style and try it again. And, well, it looks much better this time around. This is one light setup.